Thank you for your interest in this course. I'm very excited about it because this is the culmination of over a year of work for me. When I decided to write a course on Python plugin development, I realized that there was a lot of background material that would be needed, and there didn't seem to be a lot that was up to date and especially focused on geospatial applications, and so I decided to write those courses first so that there could be a single series leading up to QGIS plugin development. I'll talk more about those courses in a bit. Plugin development is not rocket science, but it does require a higher level of programming knowledge than basic Python scripting. In this course, you'll learn exactly what a QGIS plugin is, what software is required to write one, and when you would need to write a plugin rather than a basic script. You'll learn about basic plugin structure, what all the files are for, where they're stored, etc., as we write a very simple plugin to convert between degrees, minutes, and seconds of latitude and decimal degrees. Then we'll write a plugin for data entry that will make data entry much simpler than basic GIS tools for specific layers. For example, this plugin is for a point. It takes the coordinates of the point from the center of the screen, allows the user to choose a species. This application is for a raptor nest. And then it automatically chooses the correct buffer size depending on the species. And when you click OK, it adds both a point for the nest feature and a buffer of the appropriate size. And that can be done in just a few seconds. And if you think about how long it would take to go through and do that entire operation manually, and how many mistakes might get made if they choose a buffer size that's inappropriate to the species, etc., then you can appreciate how much time this might save and how many errors it might prevent. Then we'll write a map tool plugin that will be based on user input from clicking on the screen rather than input into a form. And so in this example, the user will draw a potential pipeline route onto the screen. So these purple lines are pipeline routes, and then you'll get a report listing all the potential environmental constraints that that pipeline route is going to intersect. And so these blue and green circles are environmental constraints around bird nests, and the yellow polygons are environmental constraints around potential burrowing owl habitat. And so it allows the user to kind of do a what-if analysis for designing a pipeline route. Then we'll also take a look at some of the QGIS specific widgets for PyQt 5 and how they're integrated into Qt Designer. This includes things like choosing a layer from the project or from a file, and selecting fields from a layer, or selecting a coordinate reference system, etc., using the standard QGIS tools. And you can incorporate those into your plugin as well, because QGIS has custom widgets for these things. And just a heads up, you'll need a Windows computer for this part of the course. Then we'll write a processing plugin that integrates with the QGIS processing framework. And this one is actually going to be useful for the larger community, and we'll actually submit it to the official QGIS repository. So you'll see all the steps involved in that. And we'll talk a little bit about developing standalone applications that use QGIS classes. Maybe you want a very simple application that hides all the complexity of the QGIS user interface to avoid confusing clients that are not familiar with GIS. But you want to be able to display a map and do a few specific things with it. You can use a standalone application for that. And throughout this course, we'll be gradually introducing more general information about the open source software development process and managing open source projects. This will include things like Git and GitHub for version control and collaboration with others, the Sphinx documentation tool that can automatically generate documentation for your plugin and convert it to any kind of format that you need. And we'll take a brief look at unit testing and test-driven development and more. So I hope that by now you're getting the idea that this is a very thorough course. It's not for beginners, but I do have other courses that will prepare you with everything that you need for this course. First of all, if you're completely new to Python, I have a course called Survey of Python for GIS Applications, which covers Python data structures, program control, object-oriented programming, and then looks at some of the Python packages available for geospatial programming. Next, I assume that you have some knowledge of PyQGIS, which is a Python API that provides access to the QGIS classes that we need to interact with QGIS. And my course Automating QGIS 3 with Python covers PyQGIS in a lot of detail. Finally, you'll need to be familiar with the PyQt 5 package for developing graphical user interfaces with Python. This is a critical part of the plugin development that's not required for basic scripting, but you will need some familiarity in order to understand the content of this course. So you can jump into any of these courses as you feel you need to, depending on your level of programming expertise, or take a stab at this course and then go back to one of the others if you feel the need. It's up to you, but I do expect students in this course to have this level of understanding, and I've created these other courses, which include almost 40 hours of content, so that we can focus specifically on QGIS plugin development for this course. And just a heads up, this course is a work in progress. I've had so many requests for it that I'm releasing it now so people can get started. It's complete up to the section on map tool plugins, and I think it's very useful as is, and already more thorough than any other courses that I've seen available. But I will be adding lectures for the remainder by the end of the year, so please be patient. As an introductory offer, all of my Python courses will be available for $9.99 each through November the 6th. Just use the code PYNOV20 at checkout. You can see that code in the materials for this video, and you can get more information on these and all of my other courses on open source GIS at my blog, Geospatial Brainstorming. So thanks again for your interest.